Right. Something should. Insurance took care of it, so I'm not complaining.
Last house I held was sounded good.
Yes, we hear
But that's the only one I've ever had.
hello, gentlemen.
Except for one spot.
One spot.
Discount.
Martine, good morning.
I'm not that passionate.
Greetings from Glenna. I talked to her yesterday. Sit down. Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. So glad you didn't come. Sit right here. I'll move to the next game. I was thinking this game. Sit right here.
I don't know about this. I don't want this whole
Morning, guys, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm hoping you can see them.
But I always have miles out at this time of year. So as far as how am I doing, I'd like to be able to read it. Where I live in a condo. In fact, a lot of them, it's not a big hill, but it's a hill. And I can go for a walk anywhere. And then coming back down is easy. That's sort of, I haven't been having breathing troubles going up and down that hill. Other than that, I'm good. You are too. Thank you. I have never, I have never been here. My husband I think his parents didn't smoke, at least when I was working. My parents didn't smoke. Yes. I heard those stories about my father. Lovely man, I remember. Continual smoker. And one day he understood we were walking down and he saw something stuck in the going to buy it. And he right out his mouth and threw it in the gutter. Yeah, that was not too. But would you like to that's the story. Morning, Tiffany.
Anyway, then we found out what the problem
Here you go. I got some seats.
It's maybe
I do not know if it's really That's mine.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Where are we gonna put that?
You may wear that. Starving on
I'll
you.
just be a cook.
I don't think it's
I did here once. But Billy.
I'm sort of surprised.
I've already asked several people that have lots of things and gifts and talents. I believe in that. Anyway, come on.
And I get that as well.
We haven't talked about it. Have you made any progress? That would be
I don't know if you feel really bad about the kids. This is my mom.
Check, check. I'm going to try and do it without blowing everybody away. Check, check, check. There we go. All right. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delays. Per usual, technology and us aren't getting along. There's not enough Gen Z talent in the room to help us. Grayer's here, but he's already saved me a couple of times in these moments. So all he had to do was magic. One Sunday, all he had to do was walk up and touch my computer, and everything started working.
Whoa!
I've been there for 20 minutes trying. He didn't even do anything. He just literally touched it and went whoop, whoop, whoop. So I don't know what his magic is, but he's got it. We're really glad to have you. We're sorry we're getting a late start. We also have folks joining us via live stream back here through our Mevo camera so that they can participate from home. We're glad they are here. We're thrilled to welcome David Schneider, who's the volunteer coordinator at La Puente, one of our longest standing ministry partners. We have fought with technology long enough, so we're foregoing it and just going to move forward without it. So you will have to use the technology of your ears to listen as we talk in here about what's happening at La Puente. We will have a video a little bit later. We're going to have it just play on this screen just for the sake of trying to keep it all synced up. But thankfully, at least the TVs can play YouTube videos for us. I'm going to turn it over to David and let him take over for now. Thanks, David.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure being here. It is a joy to be in partnership with First Baptist for all this many years. Don, can you think of how many years it's been that we've been partnering?
No, I don't know. You were partners when I first came to this church, which was 23 or 4 years ago,
Oh, okay.
and had been for some time
Yes.
before that.
So, but we're glad to continue the partnership. We're glad to have an opportunity to be in service together and to help individuals who are looking to move their lives forward or who just simply need our help. So glad that we're. Hello.
David, I'm Barbara Graham. My daughter Julia was a year-long volunteer at La Puente from 1993 to 94.
Oh my
So
word.
we had a link with them then.
Was that pre-AmeriCorps?
I don't know. I
Okay.
assume so.
Okay, yes, because I'm thinking that there was a time when we had volunteer service members coming in from various different organizations, various different places. And I'm sorry about this. So over here, I have this nice column that is blocking. So I just noticed that. Yes, go ahead.
And my children in either junior high or high school did youth mission trips down there, and that was in the 90s.
Oh, wonderful. So definitely we've had a very long standing, and I think Lance Cheslock, our executive director, who some of you know, has been with us since 1989.
Whoa.
Yes, so I'm thinking, if I'm remembering correctly, that those two dates correspond with one another. And so just really makes, if not the third, the fourth longest partnership we have in our associations with folks in Colorado Springs and associations with folks in Denver, Pueblo as well. So, and then last year, I was glad to say that we actually had 2 service groups in for a week from Louisiana and South Dakota. So definitely a change of atmosphere for them. And the San Luis Valley, as many of you know, is a very unique place, being the size of the state of Massachusetts and having the population of maybe one little section of Colorado Springs. We have 45,000 people living there. And with those 45,000 people, nearly 1/4 to 1/3 of those individuals actually utilize our services. And I'll go into the services a little bit later, but I first wanted to give you the update before it goes off that screen. And in 3.5 minutes, this is a very uniquely titled program because Chet Choman was one of the original members of La Puente. He was one of the founders, and in 2018, as a board member and chair of the board, he received a service award from Realtors, as he was a realtor and was involved that way. So this particular video may talk about Chet Choman as a realtor, but actually it is one of the best introductions to La Puente that I actually know of. So let's go ahead and run that.
I'm proud to have fought for our country, and I'm just as proud to work here at my family's law firm, fighting for the people of Colorado.
We're honored to have Brennan here with us, fighting every day for injured people.
So if you've been hurt, we'll fight for you too.
Call us, we're on top of it.
Go ahead.
Homelessness is viewed many times as people trying to survive in urban areas. We were, if not the first, certainly one of the first rural homeless shelters.
Realtor Chet Choman was a founding member of La Puente Homeless Shelter nearly 40 years ago. Today, that shelter is part of a broad range of services aimed at helping the poor in Colorado's sprawling San Luis Valley.
The valley is about the size of the landmass of Massachusetts. As large as it is, we only have 45,000 people, and we do have a relatively high rate of poverty.
Last year, Puente Home served over 16,000 individuals. That represents 1/3 of our population.
The reality is that in the San Luis Valley, 1 in 4 folks suffer from hunger, and they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. So what we've done is we've created a pantry network of 15 different pantries across the San Luis Valley that really focus on making sure that families get the food that they need.
A lot of the folks needed some additional help, so we started a number of other programs trying to deal with the long-term effect of homelessness.
We have wraparound services where we work on anything from employment to furthering education and really helping people be successful in their own lives.
It was very important to me and my family. We were able to get back on our feet. You know, you kind of take a couple steps back, but in the end, we took about 10 steps forward.
We found that there were children in crisis, and this led to the PALS program.
These children have all come to us through referrals of traumatic incidences. So what we seek to do is provide that emotional resiliency, a safe place where they can make positive relationships with adults. What we do at PALS is really empower them to live the life that they should be able to live.
I don't have any other support down here, so yeah, I don't know where I'd be without it.
One of the challenges is to try to serve an area this size.
So what our rural outreach program really does is it's a Puente in a truck. It drives down the dirt roads that exist for miles and miles.
We are in what is known as the flats, delivering wood. Wood is almost like gold out here. The people that live out here are completely off the grid. A lot of my people can't live near other people just for various reasons.
Reasons like severe PTSD, addictions, or an inability to afford anything else.
If it would have been for Puente, I would be in prison right now. It's the bottom line. I wouldn't be given the second chance I've been given. It's been awesome. My 2 children got to meet a sober person, and thank God for Chet.
Puente would not exist without Chet Choman. He just is a godsend in terms of bringing heart to our community.
As you see people grow out of homelessness, it energizes you to continue to do it. It's not hard to be committed to something that you believe in.
Wow.
I'm going to take a risk and actually move this thing out a little bit so that I am not completely bound to this particular stand. That way I can look over here as well and see folks down the dials as well. One of the things that the videos that La Puente has, and there's plenty of YouTube videos that you can log on to and see different events and activities, see our Christmas party, get years in review reports. But whether it's from a year ago or 16 years ago, what I have found with all the videos that we have is there is a consistency of care, and there's consistency of trying to reach out to people and making a difference in people's lives. And part of that is a philosophy of see the need, meet the need, and how we go about reaching out to people who are reaching out to us and saying, hey, I need help. And a lot of times people think that it's just we're gathering in people off the streets. We're not. There are a different number of people who are coming to see our services. A couple things that were different in the video that have occurred since the video was made. The video was made in 2018. Of course, with COVID in 2020, a lot of things changed in this world. So we try to flow with those changes. When COVID hit, we had to shut down the shelter because it was impractical to have this incubator there. And so people really had to find a different way of interacting. The person who was previously in my position decided, well, we've got trucks, we've grown, and we've got the ability, thanks to the rural outreach program, to reach out to people. So what she did was started to take supplies out to those who were in town, those who were gathering along riversides, those who were gathering in open areas. We had encampment called St. Benedict's that was started, that where folks set up their tents, where folks had some buildings provided that where they could live. And so in those particular ways, instead of having, it was almost like La Puente was being taken out to the community rather than the community having to come to La Puente. in that time, the rural outreach program has been folded into what is now called the street outreach program. And so that's one of the changes that has occurred during that time. Another change that has occurred during that time is the fact that if you saw the one gentleman talking in front of onions and potatoes and saw those in the background, that particular food bank is no longer in use. We, in 2022, I think, Lance got a call from a person saying, there are some resources left from COVID outreach where buildings can be repurposed and redesigned and to be used for people in the community. And so before that, Lance was in conversation with a grocery store owner whose store went out of business. He was a private individual, private business. When you have City Market, Safeway, and Walmart all in the same community of 15,000, sometimes it's really hard to keep going. So he had to close his stores. Where he was located was in an area where we had probably 500 to 600 family units who needed services or who received services from La Puente at any given time over a 2-year period. And so we agreed to buy this place from him. 5 days after agreeing to buy the place, because of the contact from the state government, we had the money to pay the individual for the building.
Wow.
So rather than doing a 20-year, 25-year payment plan, I think it's now completely paid off.
Phew.
And we were able to have the money to do a complete rebuild inside so that the food pantry could reach out to individuals and could have the ability to serve that neighborhood. Where the previous food bank was, there were maybe been about 40 residential units within a square mile who utilized the food bank. When we moved the food bank into this community, within a square mile, that went up to nearly 350 family units.
Wow.
So when you talk about within a square mile, you're talking about the difference of having to ride a bicycle, having to have some type of push cart, having to have friends take you, rather than having those experiences, we actually were able to bring the need to the community. And we were able to redesign the building so the building looked beautiful. And so the building really reflected the needs of the community. Rather than 4 seats for people coming in and waiting for their turn in the food bank, there are now 20 seats. Instead of 2 tiny bathrooms sort of in the back where people had to negotiate and navigate and try to find to use the bathroom, there is now in the main area a handicap accessible bathroom with 2 bathrooms in the very back for overflow and for staff use and all that other good stuff. The storage space, about twice as much storage space as was previous. So we have the opportunity now to have the technology needed to serve people, as well as the space, and as well as the location. So the neighborhood is now much more of a family oriented. If you've been down to La Puente, you actually are within about 1 block from the main office buildings, which includes where my office is. So we've got that all happening there. So, but those are the differences that have been made since that video occurred. And so I just want to make you aware of that. One of the things that we do as a community is that if there is opportunities to change, to meet needs, we do it. It's a phrase we call see the need, meet the need. And we've had that philosophy for many, many years. And in having that philosophy for many years, we try to maintain a consistency of care. We try to allow other people to come in, and people who are the ones receiving the care to say, you know, it's great that there's a shelter here, but 40 years ago they're saying, how do I get secured in housing? Or the reason I'm in the shelter is that I was not able to make an emergency payment on my rent. If I had that emergency payment, I could make that payment. So between those particular aspects, that's where we provided our Adelante program, which reaches out to people who are redeveloping the skills and the abilities to maintain a home, to maintain family, to make their lives stable again. And street crisis prevention was developed right about that same time as well. And with that came the opportunity to help people take care of that temporary need. There was a woman, and I was at my desk having lunch, and if you're working a job, you know what that means. If you're at your desk having lunch, it means you're still on duty. So I took this phone call thinking it was for me, and it wasn't for me, it was for crisis prevention. This woman, about 3 years previous, had the opportunity to utilize our services and make sure that her rent got paid for a month. And that just tided her over to get to the next month, and that allowed her to stabilize her situation. She was doing just fine. But as most of us who are living paycheck to paycheck, and there comes a time where there's an emergency that occurs and help is needed. She remembered that case manager helping her. That case manager was probably gone a couple of years already because, like, your daughter, she was there for a year's time and made that service and moved on. And so when this person came in, she said, this person really helped me, and I remember them helping me. I have a need right now. It's either pay my rent or bail my daughter out of jail. Yeah. So, the choice of bailing your daughter out and losing your home versus letting your daughter stay in a situation which might have been difficult for her, and to, still maintain home, doesn't feel good. What La Puente sometimes does is offer a third option, and offers another way for people to get from their crisis into stability. Because once their lives are stable, a lot of times there are folks whose lives just pick up right where they left off and they're able to continue to move on. There are folks who are going to need additional services, but once we get them stable, we're going to be able to move them forward. And so how we do that is through our service agencies, but most of all, our level of compassion and how we share and how we treat people. And that's what's really remembered, is that not only do they receive the emergency care they need, but they receive it with dignity and they receive it with passion and compassion. So, along with Adelante, along with crisis prevention, as Chet said, we needed to develop a children's program. The children's program was developed because the parents who were enrolled in the Adelante program were getting services and getting support. But if a child is experiencing a homeless situation with their parent, that's trauma. There's times where children are sustaining abuse situations That's certainly trauma. There are times when family situations may be as stable as possible, but there's not enough food in the house. That's trauma. And so children who have traumatic situations need the support. And so we go on and we provide that for them through the PALS program. It's now a citywide program, referral through the schools a lot of times, but referral from private individuals. And it's, as I alluded to, trauma-based needs. And how do folks learn how to respond to situations which set off their trauma, and they learn how to become more stable in that and not act out as much and be a little bit more helpful and productive. And within that program, they teach children about their skills. And what they do is they build on the skills first that they already have. You know, this one little girl would not say pretty much anything to anybody. But when something didn't go her way, you know, there was throwing stuff and there was a temper tantrum. And so the counselor got to working with her and talking to her about what it is she liked to do, what it is that had fun. And she was able to get the child to relate with her because they started talking about what was important to the child and affirming the child. Oh, you like to draw? Yeah, I like to draw too. What do you like to draw? You like to draw sunshines. Okay, so they draw sunshines. And then, oh, what do you think the sun is in? Blue sky. Oh, that's cool. Can you draw blue sky? Oh, look how beautiful. You're drawing that blue sky. And just continuing to build on the child's esteem and saying, you know, what you do is quite valued. What you do is special. So it is how we've continued to grow and build in that particular way. So that's where the PALS program comes from. About a little bit before 2000, we developed, we brought in the food service, the food bank in Alamosa, and then started coordinating the food banks all across the valley. And we've been able to, with one person, get distributions from like a place like Care and Share, or if there's Walmart has an excess of something, being able to take food not only to our food bank, but take it to all the 14 other food banks within the San Luis Valley in communities that are smaller than the size of what we're going to have in worship today. And communities that are quite remote. And so how we reach out to them is by forming partnerships, collaborative efforts. And these food banks are pretty much run on their own, but we give them the support they need so they can have the different items. You know, if we get a huge shipment of potatoes, which we just got a huge shipment of potatoes. Not that we need them in the San Luis Valley, but we've got them. So if you know of a need, let me know. If we distribute some potatoes to various areas, how we also reach out is that, let me go back to my notes. Okay. We also reach out to children in the school districts. We also say to them, you know, we want to not only improve the amount of food that you get, but the quality of food you get as well. So we can go ahead and provide caring for that. And so we continue to build and build and build. And then, of course, when COVID came, that's when our street outreach came. And so we've got a lot of years of opportunities to really say to folks, we are here. And the most important thing we do is listen to the individuals who come to us and who help us and who give us the support and the strength to do things. But as we are in an age where there's some changes financially in how things are structured and how things are going, we are in an interesting stage of our lives, to put it mildly. There are programs that reach out to those who are in crisis as far as their food, as far as their heating, as far as their different needs, medical, the different needs that they might have. And so what happens with them is that with some of the cuts that are received through the government, we are having to be a little bit more creative in how we distribute that. Through other cuts as well, we will no longer have our volunteer program from AmeriCorps. It provides us with about 20 different individuals to La Puente alone, and the particular corporation that sustains them also finds volunteers for an additional 20 programs across rural southern Colorado. And those programs affected are education, veterans, boys and girls clubs, activities that reach out to children and adults who normally would receive care are now going to have to receive it in a different way and potentially a less sustaining way. So we are going through some changes right now. We are moving back to some operating paths that we used to have, and we're going to try to incorporate them into new ways. But as we make those transitions, we are also going to be looking toward our communities to support us and to give us individuals who can come in and provide individual care as well. So it is a change, but sometimes when change comes opportunity. We have the opportunity to say, this organization, which has provided care for so many people for so many years, is in need of support. We need people to come in and cook meals at the shelter. We need people to serve their neighbors at the food bank. We need somebody who may have some maintenance skills who can provide that. We need somebody who has worked in a social services setting, who has the ability to understand what confidentiality means, to be able to come in and support us and help us. So, with those changes also are opportunities, and that's where we're looking at trying to change and grow right now. And we're going to try to make sure that the level of care stays as consistent as possible. There might be some initial issues, but I know that with various folks and with various groups that have supported us before, the fact that you all remember your kids coming down and providing service for a particular week or so, we will still have that particular opportunity coming, and those kids will still have those opportunities to learn about what it means to be in service. We will still find ways of providing supplies, and the hygiene kits that this church provides gives us a good couple of weeks to a month of opportunities for folks to come in and feel comfortable. In the street outreach office and the shelter as well, there are places where individuals living on the street who can get a shower, and especially before they do something like a job interview or move their lives forward. And they have a place where they can feel clean, where they can feel fresh. We have a Rethreads store that has been operating for quite a while, where folks can actually come in and select clothing. There was a woman who got a job, and she really didn't want folks to know what her situation was. So she was able to come into our Rethreads store. She found 5 different outfits for the week. And you know, it's to say, to come in and say, you know, that I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to show myself. I don't have to answer why on Wednesday and Friday I was wearing the same thing I was wearing Monday. It just puts somebody back on that level, that where they are truly feeling like their life is stabilizing and becoming more normal and better. So that's the type of things that we do, and that's the type of growth we try to present. So, what time is it?
It's about 16 or 17 minutes to 10.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, but I have one more video that if we can try to find. And that video is called La Puente Celebrates 40 Years of Service. This was from about 3 or 4 years ago, because we started in 1981. But while we search for that, I just wanted to offer my Thanksgiving to somebody who's maintained programming for the last couple of years, who makes sure that the drives are organized and taken care of, that comes down for the gleaning, that comes down for...
Let's talk about it.
Go ahead, Don.
We're going to try, we're not going to try, we're going to go down on the 13th of September to glean.
Peek at your bill from the top of
And when it comes to gleaning, you'll get a chance to meet me because I'll be there. But the different types of activities and the different support that Don has given is certainly been quite wonderful, and has been, Don, you were my introduction to First Baptist.
Really?
Yes, for good, for bad, for whatever.
Well, you could have had better.
But I'm so glad, and I've been at La Puente now about 1 year and 3 months, and really find that the more I do this, the more I get into the fabric of the individuals who have helped. Churches like this one, churches in Colorado Springs and Denver, who have offered their care and support for many years and who lift us up as an organization. When you all come down, or if I come over to you, we just grow, and we have the opportunity to share in the history and to share in our future as well, because the needs of our individuals are not going away. There's always going to be somebody who will have an opportunity to finally stop.
Just a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering. I know the sewing ladies do help kits, and everybody brings in stuff to fill those. Then we do the Christmas stocking type thing. And then some, money. What other things, if you're coming to a church, would be an outreach for us besides things like that?
Well, I think based on the needs that are occurring right now, we're unsure about where our supplies are coming for basic food staples. You know, it's not necessarily a high ideal drive, but right now we're going to be needing food supplies. And the way that we use this for education as well is to think about if you were needing food supplies, but you were either on the street, living in your car, or living in a place that didn't have electricity. So, if you're going to a food bank and you're getting supplies, how are you preparing the food? What type of other items do you need? You know, if you get a cake mix, can you afford eggs, or do they have eggs? Do they have flour, or can you afford flour? Things like that. So, yes. So basically, what we do here is that it's a little bit more expensive sometimes, and sometimes we have to buy a little bit more product if we have additional money. But we will have needs for tab opening, for meats, for ready-to-eat meals. If somebody has a way to make a fire and get firewood and do it safely, which yours and my definition of safely may be different than somebody else's who absolutely needs to start a fire to get something cooked. You know, ramen noodles is always the staple that we have. One thing about our street outreach, folks, that allows others to move forward is to provide meals while there. Then somebody comes in. You need a cup of coffee. Do you need some ramen noodles? We can heat it up and we can get you that. And so we develop a level of trust, because if you're taking care of needs on a most basic level, then you develop the trust to say, maybe we should go to that doctor's appointment. Or maybe you need to see social services about getting a new Social Security card. And for folks who felt like the system has let them down for so long, we actually have moved 53 people in 2024 from homelessness to being in a home. And you're talking about in an area of the population of about 46,000. And so, you've got these individuals, 200, 250 in town, who are now moving into a place of stability from lack of stability. And so it is more than just providing services. It's providing compassion. It's providing understanding. It's providing dignity. And how we lift the people up in that dignity is the essence of what we do. And it's the foundation of what we do, is to provide dignity to individuals coming in.
David, I think he's got it up.
Let's go ahead and look at Puente celebrates 40 years of service. Might see some same information that you saw before.
I got a phone call in 1979 from Sister Angela Lobato. Turns out that someone had passed away, 2 people, trying to spend a winter's night staying under the bridge. So she wanted to try to put something together, something along the lines of a homeless project. It took $25 to start a checking account, so each of us kicked in $5, and all of a sudden we owned a corporation, and we owned the building.
It actually began in '82, but I joined the organization in 1983. Basically, I started working in case management directly with clients, and I did some accounting and work with the books, and it was just trying to get the program up and running.
Mike still does grant writing for us.
My wife and I moved to the Valley in 1993, and I was part of a construction crew that did the remodel on the shelter, and it really expanded and made it a much nicer place to work with people.
A lot of times people can maybe guess or decide for themselves what they think that people need. You know, people will say, oh, the homeless, they just need a job or they just need a house. But it really is more than that. And so we, as an organization and at the shelter as well, we really tried to meet people where they were in the moment and then find out from them what were their immediate needs, and then we tried to address those needs. And that is something that happens in all the programs. It's not just, this is what you need and we're going to give it to you. We asked them what they needed and they told us, and then we helped them to acquire those needs or meet those needs.
In my mind, Puente in 2022 is an organization based around community values. I think that Puente does a really good job of kind of changing for the times and for what the community actually needs in that moment. We have a lot of different resources that really help a lot of different families and groups of people and all kinds of needs and whatnot. So Puente is something that this community definitely values, and I've heard that from a lot of people who have come into the food bank.
Yeah, well, Puente has been a vital thing in this town for a long time. It's managed to help a lot of people. A lot of dedicated individuals were involved in that, and the need exists, and the people and the resources are there to try to meet the need.
Being someone who has had a disability that I've had to work with all my life, I have a greater appreciation of working with people to help them, because I've had people help me in various times during my life, and helping people has been my way of giving back, and to see Puente grow and to be the organization and the program it's become has just been incredibly gratifying.
One thing I always thought of or said to people is, you know, I can wake up and I've got a backache and I've got a broken toe and this and that and other issues, and you go in and you do your shift at Puente, and never once did you have to think about yourself. And one old adage is, you know, don't spend a lot of time thinking about yourself. Think of other people and what you can do to help them out.
I think that Puente is an amazing organization that I hope continues so that we can, you know, keep this community strong and, you know, going forward.
When I interviewed my prospective AmeriCorps members, I always asked them about if they knew the starfish story. The starfish story is the story of a gentleman walking along the beach, and all these starfish have been washed up on the beach, and there's a gentleman and he's just throwing the starfish back one at a time. He approaches him, he says, what are you doing? He says, well, all these starfishes, you know, they're on the beach and I'm putting them back. And he said, well, how could you possibly make a difference? Because there are so many of them. And so the gentleman picks up the starfish and he throws it back in the ocean. He says, well, I made a difference to that one. And so that's what kept us going, is that we made a difference to one person or 20 people. It was that we were making a difference.
one last thing to talk about, the ability to do things. As Tona shared that story of the starfish, we can help one person. We can reach out to one person and help one person. But in order to get things accomplished, sometimes we have to do things as a community. There is a desk in the new food bank. And in the new food bank, we had over 200 people contributing time and energy to painting, to building, to putting up shelves, things like that. But the main desk in the front, which is what people see when they come in, was this monstrosity where it had to be in 3 parts that we actually had to build it so we could move it and so we could set it in its final spot. Well, of course, in moving it, we built it on one particular level, but if you know floors are never perfectly level. So the fact that it fit one spot didn't mean it necessarily fit the other spot, which means there were some folks who had to do some stabilization. And we had some additional materials that needed to be cut and put in there. So after about 40 person hours and 3 engineers, an educator who had this huge detail, understanding of details and making sure everything fit perfectly, and had the measure 3 times, measure again and then cut mentality. The desk finally got built, but it was built because different folks at different times cared about what the process was, and also cared about that we got into that this particular thing was going to work to the benefit of the staff who were going to use it and for the clients who came and used it. So with individual churches, we do so much, and this church has done a lot, and certainly want to be very appreciative and thankful for that. Just know that there are partners out there with you, and that all of us together have been able to continue to help La Puente grow and maintain strength and maintain viability in the San Luis Valley and for the people of the San Luis Valley. And with that particular attitude, no matter what happens, we will continue to grow, we will continue to develop, we will continue to serve people because we care and we give people our best. So thank you very much for having me here today. Glad to answer any questions if need be, and I'm going to be around for worship as well. I do have to say one last thing. Folks who know me know that there are times when I can forget the whole kit and caboodle. Last time I made a presentation, I forgot all the information, which is on that desk over there for La Puente. I remembered everything. I had my checklist down. I got everything all set and nice. And so the one thing I forgot today was the dress shirt and the dress pants and the dress shoes that were still in my bedroom when I left. So
we all buy.
But glad to be accepted, glad to be offered here. So wish you all a wonderful day. Wish to all who have been mothers, who have mothered others, wish you all happy Mother's Day. And just let us continue to enjoy the love of God and the peace of God.
Amen. Amen.